Chelsea come away again with Newton. Petrescu is to the right, so is Hughes. This is Petrescu, and he's gone for the far corner, and Zola came in, and it's there! It's Eddie Newton! It's Eddie Newton for Chelsea! Chelsea!
Fellow Chelsea supporters, here at the Blue Day podcast, I am proud and honoured to introduce this individual on the show today. He made 181 appearances for the club, scoring 10 goals, and he was part of the Chelsea side that won the FA Cup in 1997, the Coca-Cola Cup in 98, the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup in 98, and the UEFA Super Cup in 98. Plus, he was the club's assistant manager when Chelsea won the 2012 FA Cup final and the small matter of the UEFA Champions League in 2012. He is none other than Mr. Eddie Newton. Eddie, welcome to the Blue Day podcast. How are we?
Not bad at all. Thank you for the introduction.
My pleasure. Eddie, it's fantastic to have you on. Let's begin the interview, shall we, by talking about the start of your footballing journey and who or what influenced you to become a professional footballer?
I think if you talk to most professional footballers, they'll tell you that it's not just one thing that influences you. There's many influences around you. I think my mum, funny enough, is my biggest influence. You know, the biggest support that I had as a young kid. She done so much things for me at the home, and the support that she gave and the love and the nurturing that she gave is essential. You know, the lessons, life lessons that she would talk to me about, and how I need to conduct myself as a young man when I go out there, and what I need to go for in life. So she's a big influence. And then obviously there's a guy called Barry Leach. In my early days playing football, I played a five-a-side team called Red Star. He was a big fan of Red Star Belgrade back in the day when they had a famous team. So he was a massive fan of them. So we called his five-a-side team Red Star, and I joined it. And he was fantastic. You know, he took us on loads of tournaments, indoor, outdoor, summer festivals. He took us away to Switzerland, and you know, we played in tournaments over there. He done a lot for young boys growing up where I grew up in Hammersmith and Shepherd's Bush. So he was a big influence as well, and a lot of boys around the area that went on. He took me to Fulham as well when I was 8 and started playing for Fulham, training with Fulham, should I say. Before Chelsea poached me later on. So he was a big influence as well, really big influence. And I suppose there's every step of your journey, you have different people that step in and give you a different influence. But in the early stages, I would have to say, like my mum and Barry Leach were big influences.
And who were your idols growing up as a kid watching football?
For me, John Barnes was massive for me. You know, not to change the note of the podcast, but back in the day, you know, it was a different environment back then. So, you know, as a young black man growing up in football, sometimes you had to witness and hear a lot of things that were not very nice. So, seeing people like John Barnes succeed and excel in that environment, for me, was like massive, you know. And then Ruud Gullit, when he was at AC Milan, big fan of his, and then had the pleasure of playing with him. and then obviously he managed me as well before he left. So, big fan of his as well. So these were big influences in my life, that resonated a note within me to go and excel,
Now, you came through the ranks at Chelsea. What memories do you have of coming through the youth and then the reserve side on that time?
School of the hard knocks. You had to be mentally strong to come through Chelsea at that time. Everyone had strong characters. Everyone was from a state, from South London State or West London Estate. They're all from hardcore areas. So if you didn't have anything about you, you would struggle in that environment. You would really. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it. As a schoolboy, I remember you wouldn't get away with it now, but we used to train at Battersea Park. And after the training, they would tell you had to run back to Stamford Bridge from Battersea Park. So that just wouldn't happen nowadays. You couldn't do that with the 11, 12-year-olds running back in the middle of the night. Can you imagine? It just wouldn't happen. So, different times, different ways of how you think. But we grew up very quick. We had to. You had to grow up very quick at Chelsea. Then going in, I remember as a schoolboy starting to join in with the youth team, coming in the daytime and training with the youth team. And, you had to show that you had a bit about yourself, otherwise you would struggle. So, obviously I passed the test. And then, you go on. And I think some of my best moments in football were, as a youth player at Chelsea. I mean, it was hard. Don't get me wrong. It was hard. We had to train. We had to go to Stamford Bridge. We had to pack all the kit. Then we had to jump in the van, go to Harlem, unpack the bags and get everything ready for everybody else. Then afterwards, you'd have to clean everything, pack out all the kit, drive back to Stamford Bridge, wash the kit, ready for the next day. Then you had to go upstairs and you had to wash the stand and paint the stands, and it's a nightmare. But what it made you tougher, mentally tougher, and as a group, it brought you together. It brought you together, so, I remember the saying that it was in our youth team. Maybe it's not so prominent. I don't think people may understand it now, but it was like, if one goes in, everybody goes in. Basically, if there's a fight and something happens on the pitch, everyone goes in. No one stands, no one leaves, everyone flies in together. We're all one, we all go in together. So, okay, people nowadays maybe wouldn't understand that, but back in the day, that was how it was.
And to further that, when it came to your debut, it was the last game of the 91-92 season, and it was away to Everton. You came on and you scored on your debut. I know it was a consolation, but just a couple of things I wanted to sort of ask from that. When did you know you was going to be in the team for that game, and what advice was you given by either your teammates or the gaffer that day?
I was Cardiff. I was on loan at Cardiff, and we had got to the Welsh Cup final, and we was pushing for promotion in Division 4 at the time. Really enjoying it and really having a good time at Cardiff. Cardiff manager rang Chelsea and said, "Look, we would like to sign him." And I think it was Portfield at the time. It was Ian Portfield. Yeah, he was the manager at the time. He turned around and said, "No chance. Got no chance. In fact, we're going to call him back." And they said, "What? We've got a cup final." He goes, "Don't give a damn. We're calling him back." So he called me back. He rang me and said, "You're coming back. We're playing Everton away last game of the season, and you're in the squad." I went, "Oh, okay." So I had to make my way back to London, and get my tracksuit and everything for travelling, and then made my way to up north, and then sub, obviously. And I was sitting on the bench. I was excited, but I thought, I'm not going to get on. I'm not. There's no chance I'm getting on. So then Kemon Ku got sent off, and I went, oh, okay. And then he looked at me, and I went, no, not when we're 10 men down on my debut. And then he just went, you're going on at left back, and I went, oh my good God, on my debut, put me left back. I've never played left back in my life. So he said, go on. I said, get on, enjoy yourself, make the best of it. Just go and make the best of it, you know. I had Peter Beardsley running at me. I had the fullback running at me constantly, but somehow I dealt with it. And then, fortunately for me, we had a rare break in that game to counter attack and went down the other end. Ball came to me. I just couldn't think of anything else. I just hit it, just smashed it. And then when it went in a goal, like I just remember turning to the left and all the Chelsea supporters were up there like that at the top, and ran over to that corner. And then someone hit me from behind, smashed me from behind on my back and jumped on my back. And it was Frank Sinclair. He said, "I can't believe you scored on your debut. I can't believe it." And he was just hugging me so tight, you know what I mean? And obviously me and Frank had grown up together, so at the club. And we had a tight relationship at the club, and so he was over the moon for me. So, yeah, we didn't get the right result, as you said, but, you know, it was nice to get a goal on my debut.
And the next season was the beginning of the inaugural Premier League season. There was a lot of hype around it. There was a lot of sort of news outlets sort of discussing it and reporting it. Do you remember the hype and the controversy surrounding this change? Because there was a lot of pushback from it at the start. Yeah,
I remembered it. Vaguely remember it. It was like with Sky Sports coming in at the same time, and the change. It seemed like there was a big change, and as you said, there's a big pushback. You know, people don't like change, do they? So, you know, when change comes, there's always going to be resistance. And, you know, I was looking at it and, you know, Sky, you know, for the first time, we're going to have a real dedicated news outlet, TV outlet that's going to be showcasing football. So I thought there's nothing wrong with that, you know. I said, I don't know how they're going to fill this, like, 24 hours of football constantly. I was like, how are they going to do that? And then, but yeah, I do remember the pushback. But I was, for me, I was all for it. I think England needed a change at that time. And if you think about it, if we didn't make the change that time with the Sky Sports in the Premier League wouldn't be what it is today. English football wouldn't be what it is today. It wouldn't be, you know. So everyone's got to be thankful for the fact that, you know, people were brave enough to take it on, go against the grain, because they had a vision and could see what was going on and needed to change. We were falling behind. There's no two ways about it. We've been falling behind Spain. We were falling behind Italy. We were falling behind, and we needed to do something to change that. And that was what it was. And that's when we started seeing the influx of more international players, international managers started coming over as well. And it all changed. Tactics in our game started to change. You know, we were playing more flowing football instead of going from back to front as soon as possible. The English game, within 2 or 3 seasons, had started to change for the better.
And during that season, Chelsea had a change of manager. Ian Porterfield was relieved of his duties, and David Webb came in on a temporary basis until the end of the season. Was you surprised at this change, and what was your thoughts of David taking over at that time?
Surprised? No. I wasn't surprised. I knew Ken Bates wanted someone else. You could feel it, you know. Porterfield was a top guy, lovely guy. Worked loved working in football, but I think, without being spiteful to him, I think Ken Bates wanted someone else. Maybe someone more high profile. I think he was looking for. Dave Webb was obviously just someone to fill the gap until he got what he wanted. Dave was proper old school Chelsea. He hadn't changed from the 70s. He was still that same gruff guy from the 70s. But I liked David. I thought he was maybe I didn't like his tactics and his coaching style and things like that. But as a person, as a manager, you didn't mess around with him, and he kept things in line, and like he was great to talk to, to give a little bit of advice here and there. I like the way he gave advice. He was a strong character. You knew where you stood with him. If he didn't like you, you'd know it. If he liked you, you knew it. It's as simple as that. There's no airs and graces with him. But obviously he was just make weight for the guy that was going to come in. And
that's it. In the summer of '93, Bates brought in Glenn Hoddle to take over the position. What were your thoughts of Glenn as a coach?
I thought Glenn. So when I was a youth team player, or schoolboy youth team coming through the ranks, I'd always been coached as a player. So you're getting coached to develop your game and improve as an individual and understand tactics as a group. But it all stopped when I went first in football. You didn't get coached. It was just like everything was based on getting 3 points and just slight tactics and everything, so on and so forth. Glenn came in and changed that totally. And I've always said this, and I'll say it again. Everyone loves to talk about Mourinho changing the goalposts at Chelsea Football Club. Would you call it? The first person that made the revolution at Chelsea Football Club was Glenn Hoddle, quite simply. And he doesn't get the plaudits that he deserves. That what he done when he came into the club.
Is that because of his past with Tottenham, and Chelsea fans have that sort of like, whether it's right or wrong, that stigma about, if he's a Tottenham guy, we don't want to associate ourselves with him. Do you think it's because of that, or? I
don't know. Maybe because I don't know. I don't think it was that, because I didn't get that feeling from the Chelsea fans towards Glenn. I don't know. You may correct me and say no. I could feel it from the stands, but I didn't feel that on the pitch that they were against him, or I didn't get that. Maybe I was oblivious to everything, but I didn't feel that. But I just think Glenn was so far ahead of his time that people didn't realise what he was doing and didn't appreciate what he was doing. So, for example, but everything that is normal today wasn't normal back then. So, for example, he came in and brought a nutritionist. He brought a masseur in. We started to watch our games the game before, and, talk about our tactics, what we done right, what we done wrong. He made sure that we had breakfast and lunch at the training ground. So our diet was proper, and the diet had to be looked at, and you had to eat properly. What else did he do? The tactics that he brought, he changed the formation. We went to a 3-5-2 formation, which no one played in England. No one. And he made me play as a number 6. Now, no one knew what a holding midfielder number 6 was. No one. So, at first, everyone was didn't know what I'd done. They didn't understand it at all, because he had brought that system from Europe. And in England, it was usually 4-4-2, back to front. 2 midfielders are just sharing the role of going up. One goes up, one stays back. So, totally new tactics. So this is what we were saying, he and we didn't go back to front. We passed, and he talked to his players. He talked to the fans on his notes. We're not going to change, because we got booed about our first 10 games. We got booed. by the Chelsea fans. They didn't know what they were watching and they didn't like what they were watching. And then because of Glenn educating and constantly talking through his notes and talking in his interviews and everything, this is our style. Look how we're keeping the ball. You know, we want to play a more entertaining game and we'll win doing it. And slowly but surely, he educated the Chelsea fans and they started. And I remember I think we played Middlesbrough at home and we beat them 5-0. And I remember we played like a really good brand of passing and like in about 45-second spell, which is keeping the ball. And nothing happened.
Gavin Peacock was at the game he scored the hat-trick in.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
So nothing happened after that 45-second spell of keeping possession. But the Chelsea fans started clapping us, and I was like, "Oh, what happened there? what? They clapped us." So they slowly started to get it and go, "Okay." And then there's an appreciation of what we were doing. They understood what was going because Glenn had explained it to them. And then after that, Glenn started signing players that Chelsea would have never signed before. And like, I started going, like, Sparky came in. I went, "Picking out, Sparky." I went, "We signed Mark Hughes." And like, we signed Mark Hughes, we signed Ruud Gullit. Ruud Gullit was the one for me because at the top of the cast is my hero. So one of my idols. Like, and I was like, I remember I was injured. And so I had to come in early before pre-season to get medical attention. I remember me, Wisey, and someone else were in the home dressing room. And we're getting treatment. And in between treatment, I was just sitting there. And the boys were playing head tennis. And I was just watching it. And the door opened. And Ruud Gullit walked in. And I just stood and looked. I sat there and just looked at him. And I thought, I know this guy. Like, I was shocked. I was like, what is he doing here? What is he doing here? And like, I looked around and like, Wisey was cracking up. He goes, "Look at your face." And I went, "What's he doing here?" Like, and he went, "He signed. He's with us." I went, "Yeah, go on then." He went, "No, he signed." And then Rudy comes, sat next to me and goes, and introduced himself. And we started talking. And I was just sitting there going, how did we get Ruud Gullit? How did we get him? You know, so, you know, then Frank Leboeuf, then Dan Petrescu, you know, we're getting players that we wouldn't have been signing before. We just wouldn't have been signing these players before. So, and to be fair, I got to say this as well. Before Glenn, I got to say I was getting a little bit disillusioned because before, in all of my schoolboy, all the way up to being a professional, I had won everything. I always win. You know, I won most of my games. I won most of my tournaments. I got to finals and won most of them. So I'm used to winning. I'm used to coming home with a medal or a trophy, you know. And it just stopped. You know, I got to first team level and it's just stopped. And now I'm staring relegation I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? So I was getting a little bit disillusioned, to be perfectly honest. And then Glenn came in and changed that all for me. He really did. I went, thank God. You know, we're getting coached again. We look like we're playing decent football again. We're looking like a team. We're starting to bring players in. Now we can start competing every game, you know? And I thought, this is great. This is great. And, you know, I think my love for Chelsea grew again when Glenn came in. It really grew again. And that's why when anyone asks me that question, I always have to refer to Glenn as the first game changer for me.
Well, you cemented your place in midfield, as you say, as the number 6, until you received a nasty injury after colliding with Kevin Hitchcock, our very own goalkeeper.
Yeah, what a muppet.
For those that haven't seen it, what happened and what were your thoughts at the time when you picked up the injury? Did you think that you would be out for as long as you was?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm a young man and I got a broken leg, so I don't know how long it's going to take. But the doctor said look, if there's any good news I can give you, it's the best break you can have. It was a clean snap. He goes, it's easier for the bone to heal. So he said, so you got the best break possible. So there's a silver lining to every cloud, as they say. So how it happened, I remember our back line kind of stepped up and the striker, I saw their striker, I can't remember his name, for West Ham, and he had beat the offside trap. I kind of saw him though, and I got in front of him. I beat him to the ball, and he got frustrated and pushed me. So I had to take another step, and as I took that step, Itchy come flying out. Why on earth he was coming out, I have no idea. I hammered him afterwards. I said, "What were you doing?" I had that all under control, and all I was going to do, I was literally going to pick my head up and pass the ball back to you. You come out like some muppet and smashed into me. So we had a laugh about it afterwards. The biggest disappointment for me was that Terry Venables had come to watch me in that game. And was basically certifying in that game whether it was going to bring me to, I think, the Euros, was it?
Yeah, it would have been Euro 96, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Euros, and he wanted maybe to come with the squad. So it was the biggest gutter I've ever had, because that would have been my first step into internet. I've done the 21s, but it killed me. So I was gutted. Did I know it was going to take that long to heal? No, I didn't know. 7 months. I didn't have no complications, but I think Chelsea were erring on the side of caution to bring me back, not to come back too early and have any complications. So just to make sure I came back and I was in the right condition to continue.
And it was during that summer of 96 that Glenn left to join the England squad and Ruud Gullit became the manager. What did you think at the time of Ruud becoming the coach, and what was the team's reaction to Glenn leaving?
I think the rumours were starting to get too strong to deny it, basically. Right. So I think we all knew that Glenn was going to go. It was a matter of who was going to take over. I think we were a little bit surprised that Ruud Gullit got it, because he didn't have no experience of coaching. But, he's got a vast experience at international level and playing in Europe and, with the biggest clubs, and he understands pressure and all that. So he took it on in his own particular way. Ruud is a very different character. Rudy could rub you up the wrong way easily, or you would love him one way or the other. There's no middle with Ruud. Look, Rudy kind of continued because it's kind of like a Dutch philosophy as well, what Glenn was doing. So Rudy really bought into and just wanted to continue it, but bring maybe different players. Obviously, he brought Zola in as well, didn't he? So,
yeah.
So he brought some players in, and Rudy, I remember having a conversation with Rudy, and Rudy just said, "Listen, I just want you to continue what you've been doing whilst me and you were playing together. I want you to just continue what you're doing. For me, you're the rock of the team. You're the one that keeps us stable. We don't look the same when you're not playing in the team. So I just want you to do what you do." So he gave me a big vote of confidence and made me feel $1 million. So you want to play as well as possible when someone goes out and does that for you. So, I enjoyed it under Rudy. Training was good. There was what Rudy was good at was relaxing the team. Maybe this is not a team talk that some people would find practical or right, but I remember we played Leicester in the cup, And before the game away, I know we drew in the end, and like we had to do the return leg. But before the game, he said, "Look," he goes, "I believe in every single one in here. I believe in this squad. I think this squad is maybe 2 players away from starting to compete for the league, and then start having a journey in the Champions League. I really do." And then he said, "So I'm going to sit on the bench with Rixie, smoking my cigarro, waiting for you to win the game. Then we get on the coach, go back to London, and you go to your nightclubs and enjoy yourself, and then I'll see you on Monday." And you just walked out. And everyone, like, half of the room went, "What was that?" And then I was like, "That's the best team talk I've ever had in my life." But it relaxed everybody, you know. It relaxed everybody. Everyone kind of chuckled and this, that, and the other. And then I think in the first 60 minutes of that game, I think we played the best football I was involved in. I mean, we absolutely popped Leicester off the park for the first 60 minutes. Unfortunately, we didn't continue that. We went 2-0 up, and I think we just relaxed and got too above our station, and we got punished for it. And then, fortunately, we won the return leg and went on. But you know, that's how he was as a character, and you either loved him or didn't.
Well, we got to the final that season, and after beating Liverpool in the earlier round, and then we beat Wimbledon in the semi-final, you were part of that squad. What was the dressing room atmosphere like pre-match, and how was it for you knowing that you had another chance, another crack at being in the FA Cup final at Wembley, considering what happened in '94?
Yeah, it was big for me. Big for me and Frank, not just me. The dressing room was so much different than '94. I was younger. I think I was 22 at the time for the first one. And I remember everyone saying, "Oh, just enjoy yourself. Make sure you enjoy the day because you might not get there again," and all that. I would never give that advice to any player in my life, ever. Would you call it? It's the worst advice ever. Would you call it? It's business. Go there, and the only way you enjoy it is by winning it. Would you call it? Go there, put your game face on, work your nuts off, and do what you have to do to win that game. And afterwards, if you win it, go and enjoy it. Would you call it? So that's, I remember those words going through my head in '97, and I said, not again. And I remember the change room was dead quiet. I mean, totally different from '94. The focus was unbelievable. It's just, everyone was like ready to go to war. And Rudy was going, "I love it, gentlemen. The calm before the storm. I love it. I can feel the atmosphere. It's not nerves. It's the calm before the storm." And he was right. He was right. He was. And obviously we got off to the best start possible with Robbie's goal. And then I finished it off, scoring a goal. And, then demons in the cupboard were just chucked clean out, So.
Well, I was going to say, what a moment that must have been for you. It was your first goal in 18 months, and considering the injury you picked up sort of earlier on, sort of that period, that must have been a huge relief for you psychologically and even professionally as well.
Yeah. So for me, it was a big goal. Listen, Chelsea's everyone knows Chelsea's my club. I grew up at the club. I'd been at Chelsea from 12. And like grew up through the club. It's my second home, so to score a goal at a club that you grew up at in the FA Cup final, which was much bigger back then than it is now, but it was much bigger, and to score a goal there, it was massive. It's absolutely massive. So And I remember again Frank running over to me and saying, "I can't believe you just scored in the cup final." Because I can't believe you've done that. He started laughing. So, no, and you know, people maybe don't see it, but maybe some people do see it. But Frank, with the genuine love in him, that so happy for me to score. You know, there was no jealousy, there was no nothing. It was just pure, you know, we've grown up together, we've seen a lot together, and now you're going to score in the cup final, and he come with all that, you know, so happy. And obviously he went and done it in the next one, in the next cup final, and yes. He said, "Anything you can do, my friend, I can do as well."
Brilliant. Can you believe it's been 25 years?
No, I can't. But
Crazy.
Then again, when I look in the mirror and I see the grey hairs on my chin, then maybe, I do, yeah.
Just out of interest, I asked this to Hitchy as well. Which cup final song did you prefer, the 94 or the 97?
I hated all of them. It's so not me, that. It's so not me. I just went along with it because I didn't want to spoil the hype, but it's so not me.
That's why you weren't standing at the front then.
That's right. I was doing everything to get away from him.
Fantastic. I want to talk about sort of the next season and beyond. We were back in Europe, and one particular game I wanted to sort of get your thoughts on, because you played in that, was against Tromsø away. That must have been an experience.
Was it? Like at the beginning of the game, it was on, it was off. There was like the snow was going to come in. So, but UEFA just went full stop. No, this game is going to go on. No matter what happens, it's going on. So we had to go out there, and I remember warming up. I thought it's not that bad. Like when it was warming up, I think we can get away with this. It's not too bad. Went in, and then we started playing the first half, and then it started to come in. And I remember Rudy on the sideline told me a funny story. He told me a great story. Rudy was losing his head on the sideline. He was going to the ref. We can't even see the lines on the pitch. We can't see nothing. We can't play. You have to call the game off. And the ref and liner went, "The game ain't being called off." So he was going nuts on the sideline. And then he turned around and he tried to kick something, and I think he kicked a big lump of ice. Nearly broke his foot. And he started jumping around, and everyone was cracking up on the bench because he'd done that. And then they stopped the game, if you remember, and they brought out brushes to sweep the pitch so we could see the lines. And I was like, it was unbelievable. I think... You know, it was surreal the whole game, because I was actually looking in the corner and there's loads of Chelsea fans in the corner. I went, "How did you not come over here?" It was unbelievable. All the Chelsea fans in the corner, they're sweeping the pitch. The snow's coming in. It was horrendous. What a night, man. I wanted it to be over. We got away. Did we lose 3-2?
We lost 3-2 in the first leg.
We lost 3-2 on the night. And as Luca, he scored the 2 goals, didn't he?
That's right.
He scored 2 goals for us. So, I remember what a night. And I remember, this is the only thing I really remember about the night. I remember it was a blizzard, and the blizzard was coming towards me, so you couldn't see properly. So I'm running forward, trying to pick up, you know, like bodies where the ball was, and I couldn't see nothing. And the ball hit me on the head as I was running, and someone went, "Great head, Eddie." And I went, "What?" I didn't know nothing about it. It was unbelievable, unsighted. It was the worst game ever. I was so glad. 3-2, let's go home. That was it, done.
Well, we got through. We beat them in the second leg at Stamford Bridge, so it made it all the difference. But of February of '98, Ruud Gullit left in controversial circumstances, and Vialli took over from Gullit. What was your take on the decision at the time? And looking back, do you think the change had an effect in the dressing room?
Yeah, I think it had an effect. Somewhat positive, somewhat negative. I think I think a lot of people were a little bit disgruntled the fact that Rudy got the sack because we were in two quarterfinals, was it at the time? We was in 2 quarterfinals and we was about 4th or 5th in the league. I can't remember. We was quite high up in the league.
Yeah.
So for a young manager, you got to say, wow, he's doing well. Anyone looking at that right in this present moment, for any young manager would say, wow. And anyone getting sacked at that present moment everyone would have been a little bit, why, what was that all about? Everyone was a little bit disgruntled. I remember it vividly, to be honest with you. I was walking down to the medical room. I had to see the physio, and he kind of barged past me out of his office and just went out. And I was like, what's that all about? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like barging past me like that. I was a bit miffed by his what he'd done. I didn't know nothing about it at the time, and then the rumours started coming in that he had been sacked. And I went, yeah, whatever. How can he be sacked? Would you call it? We're in 2 quarterfinals and 4th or 5th in the league. What are you on about? And then the rumours were even stronger, and then obviously it was made. The announcement was made, and then Luka took over, and again it was a little bit. Some in the dressing room was in favour, some were a little bit not too sure. Hard for Luka as well, because when you make those alliances as a player to player, going out to dinner and everything with other players, and you got relationships, and then all of a sudden you have to make decisions whether they're playing or not. Very difficult. So it was, it was a difficult, not difficult. Yeah, I think it was a difficult transition, to be honest with you. I think he took it full on board, and I think he learned some lessons. He wanted to go full Italian on everybody, and it just wouldn't work with us, and I think he kind of calmed down and try to implement stuff that he had learned at Juve. But at the same time, he had to understand that there's a big British contingent of players that, and different players from all different parts of the world that don't want to do that stringent Italian way of, just tactics and running. It would have bored the hell out of everybody. So, to be fair, he kind of understood, which helped him being a player and understanding, being on that side of the fence. But, he went on, okay, people say, oh, he done really well. But, I have to say that was most of Rudy's work that he went on to take on and win, Yeah, he got us over the line and we won, but Rudy had done all the hard work, brought in all the players, got us to that point, and then he takes on and gets all the plaudits at the end. So, little bit, in my eyes, I was like, didn't sit well with me, to be honest with you.
Well, we won the League Cup against Middlesbrough in extra time. It was probably a month later from that decision. It was your second trophy won at Wembley in the space of 1 year. What was your memories of that day?
I remember Gaza was playing, had been signed for Middlesbrough just before that game. And that was all the big hype that Gaza was going to be involved in the game and everything. They signed him last minute, especially for the game, to get him ready for this game. I remember there was a lot of hype about that, but I think we controlled the game from start to finish, to be honest with you. And then I remember during the game, Gaza came on in the second half, and Wisey looked at me. I remember Wisey looking at me and he goes, listen, if I get a pass, roll it just between me and Gaza, I'm going to take him out. And if I get a pass, I'm going to roll it between you and Gaza and you take him out. One of us has got to take him out. he ain't getting on this. We have to take him out clean. I started laughing. I said, okay. He said, don't pass it to my feet. Pass it in front of me so I can come through. So, but, that's Wisey. Always a competitor to the end. And, we snuffed Gazza out, stopped him trying to get into the game and controlled it. And then obviously Frank had scored his goal and celebrated with him because he deserved it as well as what I did as well. So I'm really pleased for him. Massive smile on his face. I remember all night long as well. I couldn't get that smile off his face. But I just feel that it was. I think we had grown so much as a club, as a team, between the two cup finals. And the first cup final was to and fro a little bit, and then we got on top, and then in the end we went on to win. But this one is like we had gone on to another planet, and we were just so much more dominant, I felt, during the game. That is what I got from it. It actually made it quite a boring cup final. For the neutral, because I think we were a little bit too dominant in that game.
And later on that season, it was a remarkable season for Chelsea. Certainly wasn't a quiet one. We reached the Cup Winners' Cup final, where we would play Stuttgart. You started the game on the bench. Was you disappointed with this decision? Did you find out before the day, or was you told on the day of this decision? And
no, you're told on the day, but you can't. But you can feel it anyway. You can feel it coming, with the tactics and how everyone's talking. You can feel it and see it. So I knew it was coming. We're obviously disappointed and gutted because I think I played nearly every game up until the final. So I was like, I don't know where that came from. But Luca had that way where he could change his mind in a blink of an eye. He could go in a different direction in a blink of an eye. So, I was gutted, to be honest with you. And then, but then obviously he dropped Zola as well for the game. I was like, it's like, what is going on? Anyway, so he made his decisions, and then when we went 1-0 up, he put me and Zola on at the same time. I remember we came on at the end. So, look, got to play in the final, done a lot to get there as well. So, at the end of the day, enjoyed a little bit of it. I would have liked to have enjoyed a bit more, but enjoyed a bit of the cup final. So, but it was good. It was good,
It was another trophy lifted. Was there an expectation from the team that they can now push on to try and challenge for the league championship after that season?
Yeah, I think we started. The talk was we need to start challenging ourselves, not to just be to be seen as a cup side. We need to start really. We need to break the stranglehold of the dominant northern clubs, Liverpool, Manchester United. We wanted to break that dominance. We knew we was getting under their skin anyway, because there's a lot of talk about our style of football, a lot of talk about winning trophies, about becoming more dominant in the league, and it was. We could feel it was irking them. They didn't like it, and which made it even more pleasing. Yeah. But there's many a time that we went up to Old Trafford and turned them over, and so it was coming. It was really coming. So I think as a club, everyone was geared to the league has got to be, because we never had a mindset like that at Chelsea. It was survival, hopefully get a cup run. That's all I knew at Chelsea. And all you ever heard was about the 70s boys. So, Wisey quite rightly said, we respect the 70s boys. Of course we do. They're legends, and, what they've done for the club, fantastic. But now it's our time, and we need to make our name. We need to make our name whilst we're here, and quite rightly said. And that was the big onus on everybody to make inroads into the Champions League, inroads to the league. And that's where we had to start focusing in our mind, I suppose.
And starting from that season, the 98-99, was the Super Cup final. Chelsea played Real Madrid. We'd win 1-0. Poyet scored the winner. You was named on the bench for that game. Any particular memories of that occasion? I mean, it's not every day you play Real Madrid at that period for Chelsea, was it?
No. I remember the pitch was shocking. It was terrible. Monaco's pitch was absolutely shocking. We trained on it the night before, and it was like my local park. It was really bad. And you're playing a Super Cup final on that. You're just gagging to play against Real Madrid. You're like thinking, oh my God. But no, we didn't manage to get on for that. But we won the game with Gus Poyet, 1-0. To be honest with you, Real Madrid looked like a shadow of their real selves. They weren't up to speed at the time, but showed flashes of their brilliance at times. But we done well. We done really well to win that game, really well. So no, it's proud to be part of that. But I could feel my time at Chelsea was coming to an end because my knee was playing up too much, and I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. I couldn't run as quick, I couldn't jump as high, I couldn't turn as sharp, I couldn't do all the things that I knew I could do before, and I had to adapt my whole body to. And when you're 27, 28, it's hard to adapt your body what you've been doing all your life. So I knew my time was coming to an end. It was difficult. It's difficult enough to be playing at the top level when you're fit. When you're not fit and you're carrying an injury, it's really difficult. So I stayed in as long as I could and enjoyed it as long as I could. And it was a really bitter pill to swallow, knowing that I had to leave Chelsea. But when a doctor tells you that after your last operation that he saved your knee so you can walk and have a healthy life, but if you keep playing on it, you're going to end up in a wheelchair. When that was told to me, then it was well, you can imagine, that you as a young man, that's your life, that's what you do, that's how you support your family, and then all of a sudden that's going to be taken away from you. It's a very, very, very difficult moment in my life, to be honest with you.
And you found first-team opportunities hard to come by that season, and you would leave Chelsea to join Birmingham on a free transfer. How did that move come about for you?
Just through my agent, knew the owner, talked to Trevor Francis at the time. Trevor Francis agreed. Obviously, I didn't pass the medical because of my knee. But what they said, they'll change my contract around and make it more performance related, which I agreed to. But then it didn't work out because I'm used to playing with high caliber. No disrespect to any Birmingham player at that time. I'm not having a go at anyone, but the style of football, the level of player that I was used to playing with, the training methods was totally alien to me.
Different.
Yeah, totally alien to me. It felt like I'd gone back in my career about 10 years back to Ian Porterfield times and, back then, a lot of running, small-sided games, very little tactical information. And and on top of it, my knee just wasn't helping me either. So, I made it through 8 months, and then we both decided to cut it because it wasn't doing any of us any favours anyway. So that we had to cut it after 8 months, but made some good friends up there who I still speak to now. And it's a shame because it's a club that still seems to be it could be so big, but yet it never seems to be able to, to gather steam and go in the direction that it can go in. But it's a shame. It could be so much more, that club.
Now, fellow Chelsea supporters, we have some really exciting news to tell you here. We want to introduce you to our new sponsor to the show, which is Manscaped. Manscaped is a product that I am very delighted that are on board on the Blue Day podcast. It's a product that I have been a fan of for quite some time. I use it on a regular basis. And Steve, it's bliss. It's a godsend for blokes. I just want to get your thoughts on it first, because it's the first time that you've used Manscaped.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant, Keith. Absolutely brilliant. The trimmers and it's just absolutely top quality. And it's not often I talk about my underpants either, but no, that top
not
quality.
Not in public.
No, absolutely, but top quality. And a grooming thing that sets you apart from Joe Bloggs in the street.
Well, their products are precision-engineered tools to suit your family jewels. The Performance Package 4.0, which is the latest one out, is outstanding. The ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide, not just in this country of England, but worldwide, who trust Manscaped. And we have an exclusive offer for our listeners of the Blue Day podcast. Go on to manscaped.com, see what you want, go into checkout, type in the code BDP, Blue Day podcast, 20% off and free worldwide shipping. And if my maths is correct, Steve, and I weren't that great at maths at school, that counts to about 8 million balls that will be sorted with this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Male grooming has become a very important part, hasn't it?
Well, absolutely. And it's not just about your male grooming. You've got stuff like the weed whacker, which, and folks, the weed whackers, there's nothing wrong with whacking your weed. It's an electric nose and ear hair trimmer, which is an absolute godsend. Steve, hear the sound of this purring. It's like a Mustang purring at you.
Yeah. Well, it's either that or ET's come home early. Yeah. No, it's...
ET's using Manscaped as well.
It is a top quality. Really, really surprised. And really, as I said, the trimmer is absolutely fantastic.
The lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the weed whacker hair trimmer, the crop preserver ball deodorant. You put deodorant under your armpits, why not on your bollocks? And the crop reviver toner. You get a box of briefs and a travel bag to hold all your goodies in the Performance Package 4.0 bundle. You'll get that 20% off if you type in the code BDP. The lawnmower trimmer, the future of grooming, and dare I say, the greatest ball trimmer ever. No cuts, no nicks, nothing. You could use it in the shower. It's waterproof. It's got an LED light so you can do it in the dark. You don't have to put the light on to disturb anybody. It's fabulous. Features cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. And Steve, the fact that it's skin-safe technology which helps reduce nicks, snags and tugs in those delicate areas.
Yeah.
You've also got, we could talk about the ball deodorant as well and the crop reviver. Change the way you approach your hygiene. And fellas, your balls will thank you for it. I guarantee it. Type in BDP at checkout for 20% off anything you want in store. Let them know that you came to Manscaped courtesy of the Blue Day podcast, and your bollocks will thank you for it. Isn't that right, Steve?
I agree 100%, Keith.
So, we're going to have fun with Manscaped while on the Blue Day podcast. We are delighted and honoured to have them on the show as part of our main sponsor. We're going to be advertising them throughout the summer and hopefully beyond. So go on to manscaped.com, get your Performance Package 4.0, get the Weed Whacker, get the crop reviver, get the crop preserver. Your balls will thank you for it, and even your loved ones will thank you for it. The ones you spend the night with, they are going to thank you for it, no doubt.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Well, on that agreement and with my endorsement, fellas, supporters of Chelsea and supporters of the Blue Day podcast, go on to manscaped.com, type in the promotional code BDP. You will not be sorry for it. I guarantee it. Manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you for it. Now, March 2012, 10 years ago, you returned to Chelsea in an assistant manager's role with Robbie Di Matteo taking over. Andre Villas-Boas was sacked. My first question for this, what was going through your mind at this stage when AVB was sacked and there was talk about who's going to come in? And I'm gathering it wasn't a hard decision when it came to being asked, would you like to come over as assistant manager?
No, 48 hours it was done. It was a phone call. I got a phone call late at night. I was still living in Stratford-upon-Avon at the time, from the West Brom days. Robbie rang me up. He said, I've just been given the job for interim manager. I said, oh, congratulations, really pleased for you. And then he said, lovely boy, do you fancy coming and working with me again? I said, yeah, why not? And then he said, okay, he talked me through a couple of things that I needed to know before walking in. And he said, I'll see you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I had to leave. I had to jump in my car at 5:30 in the morning from Stratford-upon-Avon to get down there and meet him, have breakfast, meet the rest of the staff, and then get to work. And I enjoyed it immensely.
Before I touch on the FA Cup final, I just want to sort of ask in regards to the team, what was the team's reaction for you and Robbie coming in?
I think, especially with the British boys were really happy because familiar face. They knew us and they knew what we were about. I think a lot of people know that me and John had had a long relationship. He used to be my boot boy. I used to look after him, talk about it all the time. So, and then obviously, giving him bits of advice when he was coming through. And then he went on to excel to what he was as a player. And so that side of it was good. The foreign contingent, didn't really know, knew Robbie a little bit more than me, but some kind of knew me, some didn't really know. So it was a bit, who's this guy? And so I just made inroads into the team, started talking to the likes of Didier. So because I kind of knew Ashley and I knew JT, so I didn't need to. I talked to them obviously, but I didn't really know Lamps. So I had to go to him, right. And he was very quiet, kept himself to himself. Just started asking all the players, from your point of view as a senior player who's won so many things, knows the game, knows the club, been here a long time. What went wrong? In your own words, what went wrong? What do you think needs to change, in your opinion, so we can have an idea of what's going on in this dressing room, And, they gave their opinions, some of them very strong opinions, which is fine by me. And we started to fit the puzzle together. What was a shattered puzzle, we started to slowly put it together. And a lot of conversations, individual, group conversations, because you're talking about a group of not just talented footballers, you're talking about a group of intelligent men that been in the game for a long time and know what they want and know what to get out of. And these boys are proud. They want to win. They're used to winning, and they didn't like what was going on at this present moment in time. So We galvanised the dressing room because, to be fair, it was split at the time. It was split. It wasn't a nice dressing room at the time, but
right.
We had to galvanise it, and slowly but surely, obviously, when you win games, it makes it easier. But, we won one game, we won another game, then slowly the laughter started to come back, a little bit of banter here. There was a little bit more mixing and intertwining of the dressing room. Slowly started looking like more of a team of people, not a bunch of talented individuals, if that makes sense. So it started to become a bond. And then the more we started winning, the more tight the unit became. And we got momentum. And once you got momentum and once you got talent and intelligence in your team, it's a very hard thing to stop.
Well, you say that season, we go on to win the FA Cup. We beat Liverpool. How different was it winning the trophy from a player to then a coach?
That's a good question. I think it's always better winning it as a player, because you're running around and you're exerting yourself, and then at the end you win it, and all that effort that you put into it is finally rewarded. As a coach, it's great, but it's a different feeling. It's great. It is great. I remember I don't know, it's just different for me. I was like a little bit numb and just like, wow. Now my FA Cup winner as a coach as well. I said, wow, okay. So, no, it was great. It was great. It was a different feeling, a little bit more calmer, more reserved. I think I enjoyed the moment a little bit more, shall I say. I wasn't going off celebrating and running around. I was a little bit more reserved and kind of absorbing the whole thing, the whole atmosphere and everything.
And we'll touch on, because as you say, 10 years ago, May 19th, 2012, date forever remembered by Chelsea fans everywhere, Champions League final. I'm assuming you probably know most of that day from start to finish. In terms of the game itself, what was the conversations like between you and Robbie in terms of the tactics on how to get Chelsea to beat Bayern Munich, and what was the team talk like pre-match?
Well, most of it was all about, we had extreme injuries, as you well know. We had David with hamstring, Gary Cahill, hamstring. Who else was out? We had to play.
We had a few suspensions as well, yeah.
Yeah, we had suspensions. We had to play Ash and Ryan Bertrand as two left backs working as wingers. That was one of the tactics that we had to work on. That we had to go through during the week. Robbie spoke to me in the office. I said, I don't see anything else that we can do. Right. I think that is it. Other than you put a young winger in there that's had no experience and is just going to melt on the night, because we're playing Bayern in their stadium. Yeah. No chance you put a young player in that position. I said, Ryan has been in the Championship. He's played nearly 200 games in the Championship. Unbelievable amount of games in the Championship. He's had Premier League exposure as well. I said, we have to trust him. He knows the club. He knows what he has to do. He can run all day. He's got leather lungs, and I believe it's the right thing to do. So he said, okay, we need to work on it during the week, building up to the game. He wanted to talk to the players to see if they're comfortable with it. I think the players were comfortable with it. They're all up for it and happy to go with it. And all week we had to just keep an eye on David and Gary Cahill, like, to see if they were actually going to make it for the game. And like, they trained sparingly in tactical situations, but then we rested them to not aggravate their hamstrings. And then we was watching them during the. Everyone was just watching both of them in the warm up because we didn't even know if they was going to get through the warm up. That's how close we were. That's what was on the was right on the razor edge. So I got to tell you, Toddy Kane and a few other boys. Their names are. He's at Watford at the moment, centre mid. His name's just eluded me. They were warming up in the change rooms because we literally didn't know if David or Gary were going to make it through the warm up. We had people ready to scrub their names out, put these boys' names on the list. Then someone would have had to come off the bench, go on the Then we had to plan that maybe Paolo had to play centre back on the night, and someone else, if any had happened. And then those boys would replace Paolo and the other guy on the bench. So can you understand? You're going into one of the most important games of the club's history in your career as well, and that's what you're having to deal with before the game. So we were working. I reckon in the last 2 months of that season, we were working 12 hours a day, every day, planning for the next game because the games were just coming. So we had to plan for the league. Then, because remember, if we didn't win the Champions League and we were struggling to get to fourth. So we didn't know. So we had to go for everything. We couldn't relax in the league and just, and then put everything into the Champions League. So we had to go for all. We had to go for FA Cup. We had to go for the Champions League, and we had to go for the league. So we was working 12 hours a day easily 12 hours a day, like prepping and organising training, everything, strategy for the next game, the game after the next game. It was unbelievable. Great effort by everybody. Unbelievable effort.
The game itself, Muller scores within 10 minutes to go. Chelsea get a corner. Mata takes it. Drogba with the header. Talk to us your initial reaction when that goal went in, and just a case of the overall concept at that night. As you say, we're in Bayern's backyard. We're 1-0 down. We've got injured players playing, and they've been playing for 90 minutes. What was going through your mind at that point?
When Drogba scored, I looked up at the sky with a smile on my face, and I said, "You're really playing with my emotions tonight." I said, "You're really playing with my emotions tonight." I said, "What a header! What a header!" When sometimes I forget about it, and then you see the reruns, like the power he generated to beat Noah at the near post.
Yeah,
you have no understanding how he, I don't know how he done it, to be honest, to generate that amount of power to get it past Noah at the near post. Like, he's got the biggest reach, he's got unbelievable massive hands, and he beat him in the near post in the top corner. I was like, unbelievable. Anyway, like, then you're celebrating, and then you're going, "Oh, that's great," and then you're thinking, "Oh my God, we've got to go for another half an hour with these players," and like they're hanging. Mata was hanging because Mata's having to overrun because he's compensating for other people that are not usually. Yeah. He's not used to doing that, so he's now looking at the bench, and we're going, "Oh no," and I felt sorry for Paolo because he felt like a yo-yo was going, "Warm up, Paolo, warm up, you're coming on." Then he'd come back, and then he'd go, "Sit down, Paolo, sit down, not yet." And then "Paolo, go and warm up." And Paolo was good as gold. He was great. He was top. He goes, "Listen," he goes, "I'm not going to sit down." He goes, he came up to me and whispered in my ear, he goes, "I'm not going to sit down because I know the situation. I'm not angry or nothing." He goes, "I'm just going to keep warming up. don't call me back until you really need me. He goes, until they've really made their mind up, and you definitely bring someone on, because it's not good for me to sit down, get up, sit down, get up. And I said, you're right. Go and warm up. So, it was just, there's something about humanity, that under stress, you see the real human beings. You really do. And that night, when a collective comes together, it's a really beautiful feeling. And there's not many people in the world that can feel that. There's people in the army that will tell you, when they came together and they had to battle through something and all that. It's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling that, and then when it went to penalties, I thought, oh, here we go.
Just a quick question on that. What was said before the penalty shootouts began? Because when I was watching it sort of after the fact, it was on ITV at the time, and they were showing clips of Di Matteo with his little notepad talking to certain players. What was you doing at that stage?
I was just saying, look, calm down, pick your spot, don't change your mind.
Right.
What will be, will be. The moment you start running up and changing your mind, you're in trouble. So whatever you pick in your head, when you do that long walk to the penalty spot, know what you're doing, confirm it, and just do it. And it's all about your execution, nothing else. And everyone was like nodding and like just said, get a rub, whatever you do, get a rub, because your legs will be in bits, get a rub, and just get in the medical team, get into them. And then we just galvanized everyone. So Robbie could have a chat with them. He said, look, we've come this far, the basic, we're all together, we lose together, we win together, we lose together, but we're not going to lose today. We're not going to lose today. Have confidence, take your penalty, be confident. And everyone was up for it. The funny thing was, JT started talking to me. He was next to me, and I was so concentrated on the game. And JT was talking to me, and then I turned around and went, "Yeah, you're right." One of the players was going up. He goes, "Ed, I think he's going to miss it. I've got a feeling he's going to miss it." One of the Bayern players, and I went, "You know what? I've got a funny feeling. I didn't want to say it, but I've got a funny feeling." And then I was looking, and then I turned back and I went, "Are you in kit?" He had put his kit on. I went, when did you get changed? So we're sitting there, it's so surreal. And then we're standing there all together with our arms around each other. And he missed. And we're all pumped, you know what I mean? And then I remember Ash stepping up. And Ashley Cole's penalty was unbelievable, by the way. Yeah. He buried it right in the corner. It was unbelievable. What a penalty. And I think, the boys just kept their nerve all night. The boys just kept their nerve all night, and it was just unbelievable. And
Schweinsteiger missed.
Yeah.
And then it was Drogba's turn. And it was just a case of some people were thinking, is this going to be a repeat of 2008? Is this going to go in? It's got to go in. He steps up, scores it. He runs straight to Petr Cech. They're embracing. What was the first thing you did after that?
I started laughing. I was laughing. I was like, oh, I can't believe it. We just won the Champions League. Not just won the Champions League, but we won it in your backyard. We've come to your backyard and won it in your backyard. I said, only Chelsea can do that. Only Chelsea can do that. And I just went, all those years at this club, unbelievable. And I just started laughing, and then we started embracing each other. And that was it. The celebration just started, the hugging, the emotion. I remember Petr Cech on the floor, and I ran up to him and grabbed him, and he just looked at me and he goes, if we had to play for one more second, I couldn't go any further. He said, I'm mentally exhausted. He goes, I can't think, I can't. He goes, I'm gone. I am so gone. And I said, all right, stay on the floor. Stay on the floor, lie down, you deserve it. went off and celebrated with someone else. But that shows you the amount of effort. You know, when a goalkeeper tells you he can't go no more because his powers of concentration because he pulled off some great saves on that night, to keep us in. Against Barcelona, he pulled off some great saves to keep us in the tie. He pulled off some great saves, and I think that's not talked enough about. I'm a big. I also said on the night, I thought Obi Mikel was the man of the match. A lot of people underrated what he done that night. It was immense on that night. Immense. He stopped so many counter-attacks, started so many, stop a counter-attack and got us back playing on the offensive. It was immense. He was immense that night. It's like he grew up that night and he stood tall and he wasn't the baby of the group no more. He was like the man. Yeah. He was the man. He was one of the men, not the baby in the group no more. It was fantastic, and it was an honour, an absolute pleasure, like that night. And I think it will be spoke. Even though we won a Champions League again, and the boys done fantastic on that night as well, but I think that this night was going to be irreplaceable because it's how we won it. Yeah, it's how we won it. The way we went to Barcelona,
Napoli,
all the build-up, all the way to it. There's the emotions that all the Chelsea fans and everyone associated with Chelsea went through on that journey through. It can't be replicated. It can't be replicated. And that's why it's going to be forever remembered in the Chelsea hearts, always, in my opinion.
Just a few more questions before we wrap this up. And what has, for me, been one of the most fascinating interviews we've done on the podcast. So, Eddie, thank you for this. After that season, we would go on as European champions. We'd be playing Juventus in the group stage. We drew 2-2 at Stamford Bridge after Oscar scored some outstanding goals. I was there that night at the Matthew Harding. But we lost to them. And it was very difficult for us to qualify out of the Champions League group stage. After that game, Di Matteo was sacked. Was there an inkling beforehand, leading up to that game in Turin, that there was a change on the cards for the coach? And what was your reaction to the dismissal?
I could feel that the pressure was coming. At the end of the day, I don't know if he'd ever admit it, but I think Roman only thought that Robbie was going to be interim manager and he was going to bring someone else in at the end of the season, and never, ever thought that we was going to go on and win the Champions League and the FA Cup in that season. So, he gave him his chance. He gave him his chance and gave him a new contract. He gave me a new contract as well. To see how it went, and obviously it didn't go according to plan, and it became more and more difficult, and you could see the writing was on the wall, especially leading into that game. There was, he dropped Fernando Torres, which was politically a strong move, and if you make that move, if it doesn't work, that you kind of know what's going to come next. So, after the game, we knew it was coming, to be honest with you. But I have to say a big thank you to Michael Emanello, who kind of stuck up for me and said that I deserved to stay in the club because he was really pleased in what he had seen and how I operated with the players and my beliefs and fundamentals and everything. And so I have to thank him a lot for keeping me at the club, Unfortunately, Rafa Benitez was worried about my relationship with Robbie. Everyone knows I played with Robbie. I've been the assistant manager to him. He said he had been in a similar situation before, and he allowed the guy to come onto the coaching staff, and that guy killed him behind his back, and he was worried that I was going to do the same thing. So that's when Michael said, look, go on the loan process, run the loan process for me, build it the way that you want to build it. You know, we need to develop it and build it for the young players and everything. Go and operate and do it. It's all yours. Go and design it, build it, and I'll support you. And that's what I had to do from there on in.
And you returned as assistant manager alongside Gus Hiddink, in 2015. What was Gus like to work with, and what was the difference with that particular team, and why do you think Chelsea had such an inconsistent season, considering they were league champions the season before?
I think there was a change of ideology. I think Chelsea wanted to bring in, younger, new kind of play. Chelsea had a kind of Jose Mourinho fit. Everyone was big, strong, powerful, 28, 29 kind of players, ready-made to go and win trophies. Chelsea wanted to kind of change that. Wanted to go with a younger player, 23, 24, as well as having those seniors. So it was a little bit of a mix. And then, that's when the start of Hazard started coming in, and all, them kind of players. Baba Rahman came in at left back and things like that. So it was a new generation, and then you got the old generation that were so used to a different style, and the new generation trying to adapt to, and it was difficult. It was difficult. And I don't think we had the right manager to deal with those circumstances. You needed a manager that knew how to develop, but you knew a manager that also knew how to win trophies. We needed that. Gus is Gus. He knows. He's experienced. He knows what he's doing. He came in and steadied the ship, basically. He just steadied the ship and done the job that it was needed to do before we went on to the next season. So, well, I enjoyed it with Gus. Gus is a funny guy. He made me laugh. He did make me laugh. But, sometimes he would come out with little pearls of wisdom, that you take with you, little pearls of wisdom. He wasn't coaching no more. Obviously he was struggling to stay on his feet for long periods of time. So he would observe from the outside while Steve and myself would coach. So it was different. It was a different style of coaching that I'm used to be honest with you.
Now, fast forward to February 2020, you left Chelsea permanently to join Trabzonspor. Now, there were rumours flying around sort of after the fact that you perhaps maybe had a falling out, disagreement with Frank Lampard, who just came in as the manager. Is this true? Was there any sort of issues between you and Frank when Frank came in, or was it just more of a case of just wanting a new challenge?
A bit of both, to be honest with you. I didn't have a falling out with him. It's just a feeling that, I knew he wanted to go his way and have his team around him that he's used to. The club wanted me to support him because the coaching staff was quite young that he wanted to go with. Coaching staff was young and inexperienced. So Marina and quite a lot of the senior members of Chelsea wanted me to go in as the seniors, to support him and help him. But you could see quite early on that he wanted to go in his own direction and he wanted it to go that way. So it was getting more and more difficult, to work in those circumstances, So when the opportunity of Trabzon came, I listened to the president of the club, and he sold the club to me, you know, because I was quite apprehensive at first, to be honest with you. But he sold the club to me, and the club had changed a lot since I knew it from when Marco Marin had gone there on loan. So there was massive changes for the club. Then I went there, and I enjoyed it. It's a very difficult club, mate. Very difficult club. The fans are absolutely crazy. Very difficult club to manage at, but I really enjoyed it. I love the challenge. And got interim manager at the end of the season with the last 2 games. President says we need to win both of the games, which we did. We won the cup final. So I won the cup over there, over here, should I say. And we came second in the league. So it was nice half season for me. I enjoyed it. And then I got taken on as the manager the next season, which wasn't so enjoyable because the way Turkey they do things is totally alien to what I know. So it was very difficult doing the transfers. Very difficult. The transfer policy that they had and how they operated was totally different to what we done. How we worked. So how we work in Europe. So difficult. Lasted 7 games, and then that was the end of that. But enjoyed my time. I enjoyed my time at Trabzon. The fans are nuts. They just won the league this season, and they're making sure the whole of Turkey know that they've won the league. There's Trabzon flags everywhere. I mean, I'm in Istanbul. There's Trabzon flags everywhere on the bridge, everywhere, or out hanging outside buildings. They're having parties everywhere. So they're making sure everybody knows they've won the league.
Final question from me, Eddie. How do you look back on your time at Chelsea, both as a player and as a coach, working behind the scenes?
You know, there's not many people that can turn around and say that they've had the career that I've had. So I'm truly honoured. And Chelsea given me the platform, not only to be the player and coach that I've become, but to become, they're partly to become the man that I became, So don't get me wrong, my mum was the main person that established me as growing up. But, Chelsea was another bolt on to helping me grow up, as well as school and, different individuals that helped me grow into a decent, well, I hope people think I'm a decent man, into a decent man. So I'm just nothing but grateful, I'm grateful. I've had a great career. Unfortunately, there's some regrets, and there's always going to be regrets. I finished my career too short at Chelsea. I was been struggling from my knee. People don't realise I was struggling with my knee from 21 to 27. So the 6 years of pain I went through. But I would go through that pain again anytime because I was at a club that I loved, that I grew up at, and I was doing the thing that I loved most in the world, and playing football. So for me, it was great. The people I've met at the club as a player, as a coach, I still got relationships with them now. It feels like family when I'm ringing, when I ring back at Chelsea now, and, when I talk to people, secretaries, coaches, sports scientists, it's like your family member almost, that's how close it is, been there so many years. And I still, I have to kick myself now because now I'm at Başakşehir, like doing the technical Başakşehir sport, like doing the technical director role. And I was giving a speech the other day to some students, and I was talking about my time at Chelsea, and I started saying, our mentality, I was talking like that, like I'm still at Chelsea, and I had to catch myself halfway through, and I went, sorry, bad habit. Because I still talk like that. We are this, I don't talk like they, this is us, this is what we do, So difficult habit to get out of. But you understand my feelings about the club, it's very difficult to turn down Chelsea. For a person like me, it's very difficult to turn down Chelsea. If Chelsea turned me to come back, it would be assistant or manager or technical director. I'll be there in a heartbeat. I'll be on the next plane out of Turkey. I'll be there in a heartbeat. But that's because it's my second home. And I'll walk in there, and within hours, I'll have my feet on the desk and having banter with people and ready to get going, and like, come on, let's get on the pitches, let's start working, and let's get going. Because I keep telling everybody, I said, you in Turkey don't understand. I said, I worked at Cobham for many, many, many years, and I said, if you've ever been to Cobham, it's like the candy land of football for a training ground. I said, it's bigger than some villages, the training ground. It's actually bigger than some people's village. So that's how unbelievable it is, And I said, so look, it's home from home for me. People say, "Oh, you support Chelsea," and I say, "No, I don't support Chelsea. I am not a supporter of Chelsea." You might think that sounds mad, but I said Chelsea is my second home. I don't support Chelsea, but it's my second home. I love Chelsea because what it's done for me. I look at Chelsea in a different way. People support it and they love Chelsea that way. Great for them, great. But me, it's where I was educated. It was where I had to learn to become a man. It's where I had to learn to become a coach. How I learned to become a footballer. I learned so much at Chelsea. It's my second home. So you look at it. I look at it in different eyes. When I look at Chelsea, and I love the club. I will always love the club. I will always stick up for the club as much as I can. I hope with the new takeover that they get the right person that has the right mentality and understands the mentality of the Chelsea faithful, to understand that they have to take the club on in the right direction, because I don't think they need to feel the sting of Chelsea fans if they go in a different direction, because Chelsea have been blessed and spoilt in a way for many, many, many years now. And, if I was a new owner taking over Chelsea, I would feel excited, but I would feel the pressure as well. Because I know I've got big boots to fill. And what Roman's done, regardless of what everyone feels about what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, what Roman I'm not saying forget about it, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that shouldn't happen and all that things, it shouldn't, but what Roman done, not just for Chelsea Football Club, but for the Premier League, because you've got to remember, he was the first big tycoon to come in and really plunder money into a football club and take it to and elevate a club to the standards that it got to. And then everyone followed suit afterwards. And that's why the Premier League took another jump. So remember at the beginning, we were talking about the Premier League coming in, Sky Sports coming in, and all of a sudden English football took a leap and went in a leap. Then Roman comes in and takes the club into another direction. Everyone chases that dream, and all of a sudden the Premier League takes another leap. And now, if you look at the Premier League, it's been the best league for 5, 6, 7 years in the world, regardless. And we look at the Champions League final now, and you're almost guaranteed an English club is going to be in a semi-final nearly every year. That's how far it's come. That's down to Roman. That's down to the Premier League. That's down to Sky Sports. That's down to Roman. Being brave, coming in, having an idea, a philosophy to change things, to move things in a different direction, and successfully doing it. And for what he's done at Chelsea, I take my hat off to him.
Eddie, it's been an honour to have you on the podcast. Honestly, as a Chelsea fan, it's been fabulous listening to your stories and listening to your insight. Good luck with the role at Istanbul. I wish you well with it. And hopefully one day we'll see you back at the bridge quite soon.
Many thanks. I enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, Keith.